Hello, Royal Community. Welcome to this week's Keeping Up with the Windsors. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Michelle.
We tried to go live earlier today on YouTube, but yet again, if you was with us the other week, I was having technical difficulties, and the same happened this week. So this is pre-recorded, but we're talking about all the things that we had plans to talk about on the live. So make sure that you stick with us because we've had a few bit of royal news this week, haven't we, Shell?
We have. We've got a lot to chat about. And as always, if you have any comments, make sure you are emailing us, you are messaging, you pop it in the comment section. We want to hear what your thoughts are about what we're about to speak about. Rach, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so today we've got another Prince Andrew scandal.
Oh, I'm getting
And
tired now.
I know another one to add to the list. We've got Queen Camilla having her annual Christmas engagement at Clarence House with Douglas House, which we always love. It's one of our favourite engagements of the year. And then we've also got Prince William with Hannah Waddingham, and they're playing darts, Shell.
They are playing darts at one of my favourite places, Ali Pali. So we'll talk all about that, so stay tuned. Shall we get straight into Prince Andrew, Rach?
Let's do it. I'm going to be looking down a lot because there's quite a lot to go through, Royal Community. So sorry if I'm not looking straight at you, but here we go. Okay, so Prince Andrew is embroiled in another scandal. It is said that he has ceased all contact with a businessman accused of being a Chinese spy after receiving advice from the government. Now, in a statement, his office said Prince Andrew had met the man through official channels and there was nothing of a sensitive nature ever discussed. The alleged spy, Yang Tembo, was described in the court as having formed an unusual degree of trust with the Duke and has since been banned from the UK following a judgment by the UK's semi-secret National Security Court. Now, in 2023, Yang Tembong brought on an appeal against the initial ban, but the decision has been upheld by the court. And it said that the judges were told the businessman was attempting to leverage Prince Andrew's influence. It was heard that he was invited to Prince Andrew's birthday party in 2020, and he was told he could act on the prince's behalf when dealing with potential investors in China. Now, the alleged spy was stopped and questioned by the UK border police officers in November 2021 under powers to investigate suspicious of hostile activity by a foreign state. Now, this is where it gets interesting, Royal Community. In a letter found on one of his confiscated devices, Mr. Yang was told by one of Prince Andrew's advisors, under your guidance, we found a way to get the relevant people unnoticed in and out of the house in Windsor. Hmm.
Hmm.
The Duke's office said he was unable to comment further on matters relating to national security. Now, in his statement, it did not specify when he ceased contact with the man who was described as a close confidant of Prince Andrew's, nor the duration of their communications. And now it has been reported by the Times that Yang Tembon was invited to and attended events at Buckingham Palace, St James's Palace, and Windsor Castle at Andrew's request. And Yang Tembon said he has done nothing wrong or unlawful. Whew.
Lots
Now,
coming up from this, isn't that, Rach? There's been a lot of it's
oh,
been on all the newspapers, but I think
yes.
the question is, should the royal family be worried about Prince Andrew and the alleged Chinese spy? It sounds like a Harry Potter book, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, should the royal family be worried?
Well, this is just one thing after another with Andrew, isn't it? And I think at this point, especially the last few years, a lot of people have said, oh, Harry will be the downfall of the monarchy, and what he said about in his book, Spare, and the interview with Oprah. But actually, I think they need to be more concerned about what's happening with Andrew and what's gone on with Andrew, because at this point, if all these things have been happening, what else is there to uncover? What else has been going on? And what happens in that house? That's quite alarming, isn't it?
Yeah, alleged Chinese spy. We have to say that, but he is saying that he's hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't done anything unlawful. But when you are in one of those positions of being in a royal palace, we don't know what he's seen or written down or maybe taken. Obviously, he might not have done any of those things, but he may have done, and that's scary, isn't it? It is worrying for their own security. So again, I just really think that maybe Prince Andrew is just an easy target. He's an easy way to infiltrate the royal family. And maybe he, obviously, now we know he's completely stepped back, but it's like you said, Rach, it's really worrying. Who else is going to come out of the woodwork? What's next? You know?
Exactly. And
Um,
also, when I was reading that out loud, and it just clicked in my head. 2020, we was in lockdown, right? So
yeah.
why was Andrew having a party?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you listen to the podcast for a while, we um we were really condemning the Labour, sorry, the Conservative government at the
Conservatives.
time.
Yeah.
They had a party and the Queen had to sit by herself at Prince Philip's funeral.
Yeah.
The night before the funeral, they had a party.
My apologies, Royal Community. I'm trying to get central on this. I feel like I'm a little bit over to the one side. Uh, um, yeah, 100% Rach. And if that is the case, maybe it could have been on one of the many when it got lifted. I'm not sure. But if that is the case, then yes, this completely goes against anything that we were told about within the COVID restrictions. And can you remember seeing the Queen on her own? Oh my gosh, it was heartbreaking. Do you think we can trust the judgment of Prince Andrew, though, Rach? That's the question, isn't it?
I think so much has happened over the last few years with Andrew. I really don't. I mean, to be fair, like he was never really on my radar. Even as a royal fan, I didn't really ever particularly warm to Andrew. I thought he was a bit of a narcissist, really. Whenever I've heard stories about him, it's always in the same vein as, well, don't you know who I am? Like, well,
Yeah.
no, actually, unless you know the royals, a lot of people don't know who you are.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I'm in parts of this because I can see how if he is a spy, then Prince Andrew would be the perfect person to befriend and have a connection with, right? It would make sense. But if that is the case, then that would make him a really good spy, right? Because he's got into one of the really high places within the UK like that, creating this connection and having forged this trust and this partnership with him. The fact that the worrying thing actually is the email, isn't it? That is the bit, this the kicker in this. The fact that his team had, what did they say? And I'm just trying to find it now. That his team said that under your guidance we found a way to get the relevant people unnoticed in and out of the house in Windsor. That, come on, that is a security breach. That is very troublesome. That's really worrying. But, Rach, is Prince Andrew a victim? Is he a victim of this alleged spy? Has he been used? Has he been manipulated? Has he been kind of spun a yarn, so we say in the UK? Maybe he's more of a victim here rather than somebody who has, how can I put it? Kind of created a flurry of worry for the royals. I guess I'm Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think this isn't the first time, is it, that the royals have been caught up in things like this? We even back in the day we had Sophie and the fake shakes. Do you remember that?
Oh
We've
yes.
also had Sarah, the Duchess of York. She was embroiled with scandals about how she could use her access to the royals and how she could use her influence. So it's not the first time, particularly with people that aren't the senior royals, the working members of the royal family. So it's interesting because, I think like what you said, Andrew maybe has been caught up in this, but this dates back to 2020 Shell, which was way before any of the allegations Virginia Giuffre made
Mm.
came to light. So I don't think Andrew is a victim. I just think now, because this alleged Chinese spy, he's it's been able to be made named in court. Over a week ago, he was just known as I think it was H. They
H6 it
Yeah,
was.
H6. They
Yeah.
gave him a code name. So it's interesting, but I think the royals, at this point, like, we don't even see Andrew in an official capacity. It was actually announced, because a lot of people were saying, well, he shouldn't go on the Christmas walk this year, and it was actually announced that he won't be on that, which I think is very wise, because if he was, it would be seen as a way that the king is supporting him and what he's and his behavior. And it's
Yeah.
just not on with everything else that has been going on with the royals this year. I just think they need to kind of end it on a positive note, and, you know, not have him be the front pages of the papers the next day.
Yeah. And, you know, exactly like you said, this scandal isn't new to any of the royals. This has happened to numerous members of the royal family. However, because of his connections with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, we know that, you know, his friends or his acquaintances or his business connections might not be, well, let's put it this way, we will double check, we'll double take. I don't think we can take his what's the word, like, his friends, his people, we can't take him for his word. He's not a very good judge of character, is he, in my instance, from what I'm seeing? So in a way, yes, okay, maybe we can see it as, why is his name being brought up in here? He's just been an acquaintance that maybe potentially has been infiltrated by this alleged spy. But also, can we really trust Prince Andrew's judgment? So I think it's one of those, isn't it, where we just won't know. We just won't know which way to go. But from having a friend like Jeffrey Epstein, I lean towards more of not trusting Prince Andrew. And now this has come up. It's like, that's another kind of reason to maybe take a step back from the royal family, because it's not a good look for them PR wise. I agree, Rachel. It might be a really good thing for him not to go on the Sandringham walk, and maybe even step back from any type of royal family connection, like the service at Easter, you know, Commonwealth service, anything to do with that, unless it's really family orientated, maybe take a step back from all of it. Oh, I mean, this has been a big thing this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Royal community, let us know your thoughts, your comments in the comment section below. Um, because, yeah, over here in the UK, this has been big news. So it'd be
Yeah.
interesting, especially wherever you are in the world, if this is the first time you're hearing about this, and whether it's big news wherever you are, we'd love to know. So let us know in the comments.
Well, I've got a lovely task of talking about Queen Camilla's festive gathering. And Rach, this is one of our favourite engagements of the year, isn't it? We love covering this engagement. Let's talk about it. So Queen Camilla hosted her annual festive gathering at Clarence House for children with life-limiting conditions and their families who are connected with two charities, which is Helen and Douglas House and the Roald Dahl Marvellous Children's Charity, both of which the Queen is patron. Now, they had a festive performance by the band and bugles of the Rifle Regiment, and with direction from the children, Equerry Major Ollie Plunkett placed ornaments on the Christmas tree with a ceremonial sword. We love it. The children then sat down for a festive lunch with the Queen serving the gravy. I mean, you don't get more royal than that. Absolutely love it. And they finally got to meet Santa, who gave presents out to the children. Just love it. But when Queen Camilla got up and did a little bit of a speech, she said there was no reindeers there this year, because usually there's a few reindeers as they walk into Clarence House. But she mentioned that they got stuck in quarantine and had left the children a little something extra in their present bags to make up for it, which I just thought was just the cutest thing ever. Rach, what did you think?
Yeah, it's just such a heartwarming engagement, isn't it? And like you said, we've covered this since we started the podcast, because it's one that we love. And as Queen Camilla is patron, I'm sure over the years she's got to know some of these children or some of these families, and both the charities as well. So it's just lovely. I mean, I always love seeing the kids when they're around the Christmas tree, and they're placing the ornaments on the tree. It's just lovely to see, and it's such a heartwarming engagement every single year.
Yeah, absolutely. She said to one of the little girls, she said, "Is this enough gravy?" And the little girl said yes. And I thought, oh my gosh, how could you imagine saying no to the Queen? Like, could you give me more gravy? You haven't given me enough.
Yeah.
And then to finish off this week, we saw Prince William and Hannah Waddingham. They were at the Ali Pali, which is Alexandra Palace. Now, Royal Community, if you remember, the inaugural Earthshot Prize Awards was held at Alexandra Palace, and they were playing darts and drinking cider, and they were there to promote the upcoming Earthshot Prize report, which is a documentary highlighting the work of the initiative. Now, listen, Royal Community, you can watch this on telly. If you're in the UK, it's going to be on BBC One and BBC iPlayer on the 15th of December. And, right, she didn't know this until I looked at it, but if you're in the US, you can watch it on PBS on the 18th of December at 8 p.m. ET, which I'm thinking is standard time. I try and act like I know what I'm talking about, but I think it might be Eastern time, right? ET.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
that's today. So
is it? Oh
yeah,
yes, it's today. Amazing.
yeah.
There we go. There we go. Do you know what? The literally the dates in December are completely flying by. So this would have been on TV in the UK on Sunday.
Yeah.
On Sunday. So there we go. Go out there and watch it. It's on a BBC iPlayer right now. But during their talk, what I loved was William mentioned talking to the children about nature. And he said, I talk to my children all the time about it. And it's important that they go out and see, touch, feel, and go out in nature. And I just love that because he was speaking about not just kind of going out there and spreading the word, but actually being like putting his what's the word, like just going out there and doing the actions rather than speaking the words. So I think that's what the Earthshot Prize has done and is achieving, and I'm just so excited to keep watching it because I love it. It's one of my highlights of the year for the Royals.
Yeah, it's such a it was such a tease as well because they posted just a dartboard, didn't they? And everyone was like, "What's this?" And then somebody said, "Oh, somebody else mentioned that it might be to do with the Earthshot Prize." And I said, "Oh, of course, because that documentary was coming out, so
Yeah.
it made total sense." But then I was like, "But what does a dartboard have to do with the Earthshot Prize awards?" And then they were playing darts, so
Yeah.
who knew?
Well, the darts is played at Ali Pali, isn't it? So it's like
Yeah,
the big thing. So it did make sense when you see it in its all of its complexities.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, so that's our Raw news for this week, Raw Community. Tomorrow, which will be Thursday the 19th, there is the Christmas lunch at Buckingham Palace. And this is where all
yay!
the royals, and I mean the extended royals, as well as I'm guessing the King and Queen will be there. We might possibly get William and Catherine and the children. The Tyndalls, the Gloucesters, you've got all of them there. This is when they come to Buckingham Palace and they have their festive lunch for the ones that don't go to Sandringham. So this is just such a great thing to, as a royal fan, to look for. Obviously we don't get to see inside, we don't get official photographs, but we always get the shots of them in the car, so it's just always nice to see who's going to be there. So make sure you're following us on Instagram, Keeping Up the Windsors Pod. Keeping Up the Windsors Pod, yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Because when they start arriving, I'll try and post some pictures of them arriving. And then in the next couple of weeks, make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because we have our Royal Gala Awards and our 2025 Royal Predictions. And again, if you follow us on Instagram, I put up a sticker and a lot of you gave us your Royal Predictions. So tune into that to hear what you guys thought is going to happen for the Royals next year.
And just before we leave, me and Rachel didn't actually plan to wear the same thing, but here we go. We are. We're just going for it. It's that cold. We all got roll necks on, so we're all good. We're all good. Thank you so much for being here, Royal Community. We will see you after Christmas for our next live shows. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.